Welcome to June's episode of Me, You, and Jeju. I'm Darryl Coote.
And I'm Alexis Joy.
And today we're looking at the movement for Jeju Island to secure a 4-3 apology from the U.S. government, tourism hit by fatty pork and its sensitivity to online haters, a quick look at this year's expat festival, and of course, another look at another Jeju Olle course. But first, we start with Jeju's space industry. Now, things are really eating up here for sure, with Perigi telling me that they are to have a test launch in the next few days, potentially. Ooh. Yeah. So that's going to be exciting.
I really want to go down for this launch. So you must find the date and you must let me know and I must attend or just sit on the road.
It's closed to the public, unfortunately.
But we'll be able to see it from the other places, right?
Possibly. We'll have to see because it's a test launch of its Blue Whale 2.0 rocket. So
fun.
It's not, they're necessarily like the big rockets that we have seen.
Okay.
Yeah. These are like to put 150 kilogram satellites into space is the ultimate goal. So
because the last time we talked about it was an actual rocket.
Yeah, that was in December.
Yeah.
Right.
And when we heard from, when you investigate that a little bit more, they did say that it was going to be in summertime. Well, they said they assumed summertime, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this rocket launch is just a test. So I'm not even sure how big it's going to be. And for some odd reason, they told me before that I might be able to go to it, but now no. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, how significant this launch is, but it comes on the heels of the Jeju Hanwha Space Center breaking ground in late April on the site of the Tamna University in Jeju City. Have you familiar with this?
Not even a
development. Little bit. No one really is. It's huge.
Oh God.
It's huge because this is represents another big step that the Jeju Island's private space industry is taking. Now it's a new 3-floor facility on 11,500 square meters of property. And it'll be used to build and test satellites, producing up to 8 a month, with plans for its construction to be completed by the end of 2025. And the significance,
That's pretty impressive. Keep going.
And a lot sooner than maybe I would expect, right? Because how big it is and the sensitivity of it. Now it's about... The other thing is, it's not also going to be hosting this satellite development center. It's also going to be a hub for the island space industry, with one company already telling me that they plan to move in there when completed. Oh. And according to the Jeju government, 9 affiliates of Hanwha will also move in. So it's going to be like the new space city, which makes me worried.
Exciting. Yeah, well, but I mean, it's exciting too. But I think the main thing is nobody knows anything. So, yeah.
It's really exciting. I find it really exciting, right? This is a big step to the realization of Jeju as a space industry. And the government said it will, quote, accelerate changes in the regional's industrial structure, end quote. So they see it as like a new hub of some, not just a hub, but like a new industrial engine of growth, right? And to explain the significance, I spoke to Perigi, and this building, which we discussed before, but this building is Perigi is building a rocket to put satellites into space. I toured recently, like in the last 2 weeks, a construction of a ground station on Jeju, which is where information from satellites are received. And now, the ground is being broken on a building to build satellites in. So you have the whole industry here, a launch vehicle to put satellites in space, a place to receive information from satellites, even though it's more complicated than just that. You need many of them, but that's besides the point, and a facility to build these satellites. So on Jeju, those 3 private companies alone are touching all parts of the industry, which is pretty significant since they actually want to bring more of them here too, right?
Yeah, and, very impressive.
Yeah, someone in the space industry explained to me, satellites are very sensitive, meaning they break easily, right? So right now, companies in Asia send their satellites to California for SpaceX or New Zealand for like Rocket Lab or elsewhere for launches, which presents significant problems, not just for like the safety of the satellites, but also the cost to ship them there. And you have to send teams and all that kind of stuff. So if you can literally build them on Jeju and have them shipped over like a couple kilometers, that is a big difference for companies that are in, you know, in this vicinity here, right? So like in Asia, it's the cost, because these are also supposed to be like economic satellites, like a couple $1,000,000. So if you're trying to save money on these things, this might be a big option for like players in China, Japan, Hong Kong, these sort of things here. So it's yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes, though I am worried about how much employment this will generate on Jeju. One company told me that they expect that their company will produce about 20 jobs on Jeju.
Oh, that's
not
low.
Very much.
No, that's not a lot at all. Yeah.
No, but but the government says that the building, the hub itself will have in total, directly and indirectly, 1,000 people. So that's the construction of it. So that's something. So we'll have to see how that goes as, you know, we come along.
I will just say this. There's no way those people will just be coming from Jeju, though. You know, because already we have immigrants that are doing that job because there's not enough. There's so much construction going on Jeju at all times that people are waiting months to get their project addressed and looked at. So, and right now, you know, so there's no way per se it's going to help Jeju's employment.
I'm more interested in the high-end jobs that these buildings, these companies might, like in the long-term basis, not just construction. But based on people I've talked to and based on, you know, news articles and stuff, they're having a hard time getting people coming down to the island in general. They've tried. Dom had a thing here that kind of went away. Nexon is, I'm not even sure if that's still here anymore, but they tried to generate these high-end jobs here and it sort of didn't work. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But I'm very, as you can tell, I've talked about it enough these days. I'm really excited to see what happens with the space industry, and I'd love to see some of the rocket launches.
Agreed. So I think this is something that we will be touching back on again and again as time goes by, I would imagine.
Sure. And now to our second story is the Jeju Forum recently was held on Jeju for 3 days. Did you hear much about it?
No, you know, I'm always kind of disappointed. I don't know if I'm just not in the know, but I feel like I subscribe to enough Instagram and enough news sites that I should know things better. But I feel like I hardly ever get to hear about these forums until they're practically on us.
Right. Yeah. I also don't know if this is that exciting because it's sort of like a trade show for peace and politics and geopolitics. So it's not really it's sort of really insider baseball. Like when you go to some of the sessions, you're sitting there and you're just kind of like nodding off on something because it's just not relevant to you. Right. They're just talking about some things that are very like technical when it comes to the makeups of governments and multidisciplinary democracy. And you're just like, okay, but occasionally,
so what did you learn then?
Yeah. So what I learned had to do with the movement for Jeju Island to secure an apology from the U.S. government, which we know is a big thing here among some circles, right? And it got a big boost. That movement got a big boost during the forum when a former high-ranking State Department official, Robert Gallucci, said he would join the cause. Are you familiar with Robert Gallucci?
No.
He is he was the lead negotiator in 1994 during the North Korean nuclear crisis. So that's why he came here. This was sort of like a side issue for him. He was there mostly to talk about the ongoing issue on the peninsula about North Korea, but he also attended this forum about the next steps in reconciliation for the Jeju 4-3, Jeju Sasam. And the session itself was interesting because it put into perspective the importance of securing an apology from the United States. Like I think people see it more as a badge, or as like I'm not sure how else to explain it than that, but there's actually more to it.
Acknowledgements.
Yeah, but there's a little bit more to it. So for background, there's no evidence the United States was directly involved in the killings and the massacres.
Right.
So there are a handful of Americans here, and academics contend that based on evidence we do have, it is clear Americans were aware of the killings by the newly found South Korean government, and in some cases encouraged it to snuff out the communist uprising. And during the conference, they were talking about securing an apology from the U.S. is seen as the next step towards a reconciliation, as it could also lead to the unearthing of more information about what happened on the island. And it is also seen, or if it keeps growing, this movement as a potential issue in U.S.-South Korean relations, which is something I thought was really important.
Right.
So during the session, Robert Gallucci said that he had only recently learned about the massacre, but that he does think that, and he's a high-ranking State Department official. Was. He's an academic now. But that the Jeju Island does appear to have a case to secure an apology from the states, and he would help them in that. He said that Jeju should get a campaign, though, like hire PR firms in Washington, D.C. to help lobby Congress and to lobby policymakers to try to get it done, because he said to get an apology like this, everybody has to be on board in it.
Yeah.
Right. So
and you have to have people on the ground knocking on doors, knocking on offices, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. The people during the session they were from the Jeju 4-3 Peace Foundation and that stuff. They were like surprised by this option. They're like, oh, we didn't think of that. Or maybe they kind of framed it as like a Korean perspective is not to do it that way. Maybe like more of a grassroots effort. And he was suggesting, no, you got to
be aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah. Be aggressive. And you need to get all the embassies on board, like the U.S. embassy and all that, which I thought was kind of interesting thing for him to say. He said, we've come, and he also said now might be a good time to start pushing this based on the changing of Confederate statues in the States among some people who are tearing them down and trying to switch names. He said, and I quote, "We've come to a point, I think, where a lot of people are not satisfied with looking away. And all I would say to you is that I would like to be a part of the effort to make sure Americans don't look away from April 3. So we'll have to see what he does. He's a big name.
Right. I think, though, as with most things, he made an effort to come and to give this speech. So I probably shouldn't be too, what is the word I'm looking for? Too skeptical. So maybe take him at his word and see how people, if they take him at his word and they do use him, as he's offering.
Figure out how they were going to use him. Like they referred to him as the Jeju 4-3 envoy, and so I went up to them afterwards. Like, is that a legitimate title? Is that? And they're like, no, I was just the head of the Peace Foundation told me, no, I'm just joking about that. I'm like, oh, okay, so don't. I thought it was real.
Okay, yeah, well, okay, yeah. Another thing to keep an eye on, then, yeah.
Sure, I've been working on a story on this for a while, and about the U.S. apology. And to give some context, to show the atmosphere around it, I've asked the U.S. embassy in Seoul if they would be willing to send the ambassador, just send him, no apology, down to to attend the memorial. And
they said
they have not responded to my repeated calls and things. So
that's something. Did you ever, I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but did you ever read Ronan Farrow's Catch and Kill? But he wrote another book about embassy work. And the name escapes me right now.
No, I haven't.
Truly fascinating. And it's something that I just never, as an American, I just never understood the importance of embassies and to what role they played. But now, of course, the role has changed as the years have gone by, like significantly changed. And that's one of Ronan Farrow's, that's what he talks about a lot. But this is exactly the sort of thing that an embassy could be doing and could be working towards a goal, of something. And this is exactly what work embassy sorry, I'm just getting my words confused. But this is what ambassadors could in fact be doing, is being the first step of something. So to come down to Jeju, first of all, it would be a huge deal.
That would be huge news. Huge
but
news.
this is something that they could take on and they could be doing with enough pressure, from Korea, from Jeju government, yeah. So
well
very
said.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now let's go on to Walking Jeju with JY. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for another segment of Walking Jeju with JY. Thank you again so much for being with us, JY.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I mean, it's great that I get to go over all these trails that I love, and it's so nice to have an audience. So thank you.
You're such a good advocate for these trails, JY. You're always so just like, this trail, and I love this one and this one. So it's always so good to hear your perspective on it.
I mean, it really comes from the heart. And I don't know if I already told you, but I moved to this island because of how much I loved Olle. So, but it changed a lot. Yeah.
Remember,
I was in a dark place.
Yeah, I think you touched on it our first episode, that you were just like, you came here and you wanted to walk all of them again. Yeah. Yeah.
So what trail are you going to school us to teach us about today? Introduce us to.
Yeah, so we're going by the numerical order, and it's for people who want to maybe revisit these episodes later on. And if they have any particular trail they're curious about, they can always, just find that number and go to the episode. So last time we touched upon the symbolical trail number 1. So today we're going to continue on with route number 2. And we're still in the east side. Yeah. Yeah.
We're still on the east side, right? Right.
Yeah. Route number 2 really don't get enough attention because when Olle does events, we always go to the route number 1 because it's very scenic and, it's symbolic with Friendship Trail, with the Way of St. James, and, the Sunrise Peak is there. And then route number 2, like suddenly quiet, but actually it is quite lovely. And there are many, many great points too. And especially right now, we're recording in June. This is the time to visit these routes in the east side, and especially route number 2, because of the beautiful blossoms of hydrangea that you can enjoy.
That's right. There's lines that whole trail almost. I mean, not the whole trail, but it's a good portion of that goes. Yeah.
And there's I'll talk about it because it falls on towards the end of the trail. But there's this one spot where you can see just like sea of hydrangea, and you can take photos and just really enjoy yourself there. So there's that one great point.
For the uneducated, what color of flower is the hydrangea?
Are you asking for yourself, Darryl?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so hydrangea, as everyone kind of have an idea, it's just this bouquet of flower. And I guess it just comes in all kinds of colors, because when I visited Jeju maybe like 7-8 years ago with friends, it was more like sky blue or light pink color. But now I see like deep purple and deep like burgundy almost. So it's really all over the place. But what I really love about it is just one head will be like a full bouquet of flowers. So yeah.
So beautiful. I think the most common is like the purple, sky blue, that in between. But I think Jeju, I can't speak for certain, but I'm pretty sure Jeju has mastered the art of cross-pollinating. And that's basically a lot of that is them, doing it. Yeah.
Yes. So right now, I guess, it is the hydrangea season, and it'll go on until maybe like early July. But I noticed that different sides have different period of the flowers blossoming. So east side is already kind of coming into a full bloom.
Right.
And I know this because we have our staff working at the information center in the East Coast, and they'll have an event that brings them to the Seogwipo, the southern region, and they'll be like, "Oh, I just brought some hydrangea because you guys don't have a full blossom yet." So here you go.
Passing the hydrangea around. Nice, yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about this trail.
Sure. And I'm not sure if you ever heard about the beginning point of this trail, which is 광치기 해변 or 광치기 beach.
On the bottom of Sunrise Peak?
Not quite, but it's not far from Sunrise Peak.
Okay.
But it's kind of a broad beach. But I don't say this is like a beach for swimming, but it's in close proximity of the Sunrise Peak. And so 광치기 Beach, there are different explanations of where it gets its name from. But Guang in Chinese character is broad, right? So when there's a low tide, it's just a broad plain of beachside and the ocean. So that's where it gets a name from. So it starts from 광치기 Beach, and you get to walk on these kind of a narrow path that goes around the East Coast area. And what's cool about this place, especially if you're a lover of birds, or like if you love birding or bird watching, this area is really known for seasonal migratory birds. So maybe not during the summer season, but in the wintertime, this is where like all these migratory birds come and they fish there. So you'll see, especially the spoonbill. And so the spoonbill is like the symbol of the route number 2 stand. You know, when you get to the end point, it'll be a shape of, I see. So it'll be a shape of a spoonbill because, you know, that's the symbol of this trail where all these unique, very rare and, you know, migratory birds that should be protected will be flying here.
Bird watching paradise.
Bird watching.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be like watching? The beginning part.
Blooms and birds.
Yeah. So as you already know, like a lot of Olle trails kind of go by the ocean, but some of it, you know, you'll enjoy part of the ocean and then kind of go inland. And it's the same case for this trail. So the first 5 kilometers, you'll be in the coast side, kind of making a little loop. And then you'll eventually move into the main village side. But I have a quick question for you guys. Have you heard or have you seen the drama series Welcome to Samdali?
Parts of it. I've seen some of it. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. And, you know, I think this is sort of the drama fad where like the city gal, you know, who's actually originally from a small town in Jeju, namely Samdali. She goes to the big city and makes it big, but then something happens and she comes back home and falls in love with her, you know, childhood sweetheart, that kind of story. So that drama was kind of popular early this year. And it was mostly filmed in this area of Ojori or Ojo Village.
Okay.
So
do they have signs all over the village saying, you know, this picture came from here, that sort of thing? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they don't have an actual picture, but they do have sign like, you know, Samdali was shot here.
And the kiss happens here.
Oh yeah. And I thought it was funny that the drama is called Welcome to Samdali, which is an actual village in the East Coast. But then I soon realized like it wasn't really filmed in Samdali. You know, the location is all over Jeju. But mainly the main spots, the main hangout was in this part of Ojori, which is part of route number 2.
I'm going to have to watch it just to recognize.
Yeah. And so, it was fun because this was like a first drama that was based in Jeju after moving here. So I was like, I recognize that, you know?
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, so that's like a fun fact. So if you're not quite familiar with K-drama, but you're walking in certain port area and you see signs and maybe people take pictures, that's why, because of this drama.
Oh, that's awesome. How long is this trail?
It's a good question. So it is 15.6 kilometers, which is considered kind of the middle.
Wow.
Beast.
So,
beast.
There are longer
it
ones.
Starts at the end of the first trail, which is where exactly? Where did you say it starts?
At the beach.
It's Gwangchi Beach. Yep.
Right. And it ends 15 kilometers later at?
Eunpyeong Port.
Eunpyeong Port. Wow.
Where's Eunpyeong? What is that next to, JY? Is that, are we going north or are we going along the south?
Oh, so at the beginning it's kind of interesting because you're kind of making a loop and then coming back to your original spot and then going into the village and coming down to the south. So let's say you're coming down on the east side. So Eunpyeong is sort of the southeast, I say.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And how difficult is this trail?
It's medium difficulty. And it depends on like how high you have to go. And there's one peak that you have to climb. Yeah. So that could be challenging.
I think anything with 15 kilometers is already gonna,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You gotta, expect.
So what peak is that? Is that an
Mm-hmm.
autumn or is it just a hill that's along the way?
Yeah, I mean, they have different names for autumn, right? So this one's a bong
Sure.
or the peak. So it's called Daesusanbong in Susan Village. And it's a really nice village to stroll through. And the peak is wonderful because you get the best view of course, the Sunrise Peak, but also Seopji-Koji. And are you familiar? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the Seopji Cape.
I'm pretty sure that autumn has the swing.
Oh, so that's a great point because I learned it because I visited Susanli, but there's another Susanli in the West Coast. Isn't that crazy? So this Susanli is the one that actually does not have a swing, but there is one Susanli on the West Coast that does have the
That's
swing.
really interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. So nobody go looking for a swing on Route 2. That's
Have you seen an increase in walkers because of the Samdari? Welcome to Samdari, the show?
No, I think, to be honest, I think people who come to go to those spots that were covered in that drama, they have to go to one place, take some photos for Instagram, and then get in the car, quickly move to another place because it's really shot all over Jeju, including Gapado. So it's really like all across Jeju Island. Yeah.
But, and I think just in general, tourism has been down the last few months anyway. So
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So
and,
keep going. JY, keep going.
Please. No. It's, go ahead.
Okay, I was wondering. So as we recorded this in June, and it's a good time still for walking because we've had lovely weather. It hasn't been too hot here on Jeju yet, although it's getting hotter. But we've had such gorgeous weather in May and early June, and then you were talking about the hydrangeas blooming. Would you say this is a good summer trail?
So when it comes to like summer hiking, we do not recommend people to hike the full length of Olle just because it could be dangerous, especially like climbing this peak, which is quiet and peaceful. But if you're like dehydrated and if you're by yourself, that could be really dangerous. But I say this time, maybe if you want to experience some Olle, just do a part of Olle, maybe go to the Susanbong Peak and nobody's going to be like, oh, you
so just
hike the whole thing.
Pick and choose some parts that you kind of want to see and take it easy.
Yes. Yeah, take it easy. And so if you just want to pick one
just
spot
having a little bit of lag here.
We're having a little bit of a lag, a little bit of freezing.
Sorry, it says reconnecting. I see.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so can you just say that last part?
I see everyone. Yeah, sure.
Say that last part, just one more time for us.
Oh, yeah, sure. So during this time, if you just want to pick one spot out of this whole route, I'd say go to Honinji, which literally means the wedding spot. And this is a spot that is laced with just beautiful hydrangea. This is the place I was talking about. It's towards the end. Yeah, it's towards the end of the whole route. And the reason it's called the wedding spot or the wedding pond is because it kind of bears one of the myth of creation of Jeju Island. So there are all different types of the creation myth of Jeju, including like Solmunde, the giant goddess. But this one's a little different. It's 3 gods whose last name are Ko, Yang, and Bu. And they're these gods who are just hanging out here. Yeah, you recognize like Jeju Go or Jeju Bu.
Jeju names. Yep.
Yeah, so these gods were hanging out and they just saw some beautiful women, local native women, and they married them and started the nation called Hamla. So this is the spot that tells the myth. And so I guess they wanted to cater to the myth. And so this spot is really kind of made like an eventful wedding spot. So it's very pretty to go to.
Oh, beautiful.
That sounds really nice.
Well, We'll have to, and listeners, if any of you have been there, please share your photos with us, your comments. Let us know what you think of this trail, because it does sound stupendous. Most people I know go to the first trail, but maybe the second trail is one that people might pass up in favor of some of the more popular, like the one by my place in Wedelgay, which gets a lot of people, which is Trail 7, and we'll get to that at another time. But some of the lesser known trails, they have beautiful spots and places to see, and really taking a different view of Jeju. Thank you so much, JY. This is a great trail, and hopefully lots of people will now have the opportunity to know more about it and go visit it.
Yeah, thanks to you guys, it's getting more coverage. So I'm very grateful.
All right, so we'll see you soon for trail number 3.
I'll be back. Cheers.
Well, that hydrangea trail does seem interesting. I'd be willing to go hiking to see some. How did she phrase it? The sea of hydrangea.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful. I'll get my shoes out.
Yeah, but I'm with her. Like when July and August come, most of the Olés just don't have a lot of coverage, in certain parts, and it is so hot, and you're just walking on trails or even sometimes on roads that have no coverage, and the heat from the earth is also coming up at you while the sun is beating down on you. And it's a lot. It's a good time to just stay off the trails.
Right. So before you get going, Alexis, I have a question for you. How hot is it, Alexa?
Oh, Darryl, is this one of your? How hot is it, Darryl?
You said it was so hot, so I was.
How hot is it? Sorry, what am I supposed to say?
You're supposed to. I thought you were gonna have a joke. Anyways, keep going.
Wait, why would you put the dad jokes on me? You know I'm not gonna have a joke. That's your realm. Anyways, let me jump into talking a little bit about an upcoming event here in Jeju that is important to foreigners on the island, and it is called the Expat Festival. And while the name isn't maybe always the best name, but what it means is foreigners that have chosen to live on Jeju. And the government has done this festival for 11 years now. This is the 11th year, and they have made a point to showcase foreigners that are living on the island in various ways. And so this event has grown and grown and grown. So it is a music festival. And so what it does is it takes bands that are just foreigners alone or foreigners with Korean friends that they have created, and it has a place. It's kind of how I say almost like a nice talent show, if you will. So every band gets 15 minutes to showcase the best of the best songs that they want to show and to show off their talents. And meanwhile, while the music is going on, one of the ways this festival has grown is that we've also included a marketplace over the last few years. And I'm really excited. I put a lot of work into this marketplace. This is the biggest one we've had so far in terms of our expat sellers selling their, and I'll get into that a little bit more, but selling their wares, but also with food. We're going to have a DJ out there. This is before the inside music starts. We'll have a DJ, and then we'll have tables with umbrellas that you can sit and then go get yourself a cocktail, go get yourself a coffee, go get yourself a lunch, an early dinner, and then you can come and you can just enjoy the tables as well. But there's not just food. I'm really, really excited about it this year. So not only will we have food, we have foreigners that are selling their own art. So, for instance, watercolor art, posters, paintings, jewelry, crochet items. So all the things you could possibly think of as far as just crafts, if you will, crafts and arts and crafts.
Oh,
and then it's very cool. But along with that, we're also having what we call interactive booths. So we will be doing ring making classes. Someone will be giving tattoos if you want a tattoo. Someone will be doing, for children, will be doing some games where they can win prizes. Another person will be doing bead work, so making jewelry with children or adults. And then we'll have watercolor for children or adults as well. I know, awesome. It's a lot going on.
That's a lot. Yeah, my daughter's going to be so psyched for this.
Right, but the thing is, that's not the only thing. So that's part of the foreigners tent. But we also have another interactive tent where we you can come and make lanterns, and you can come and make some art with paper. And that is free. So there is just so much going on this year. I'm really, really excited to see how it all plays out. And I really hope you all send me good vibes and everybody does a no rain dance for me.
Yeah, just to be clear, I mean, this is your festival. Like, you organize this, you do. Like, so you sound a little humble. You make it sound like you're only doing the marketplace. No, but all of this is you. And when exactly is this taking place? So we can go.
This will be this year. Yep, everyone should come. It's Saturday, June 28th. The market opens at 3:00. So no. Saturday, June 8th. Did I say the 28th?
Yes, you did.
Well, I saw your face on the screen. I was like, what did I just say? And I didn't even. Why, Alexis? Well,
look at it again.
I'm
what is
tired. So again, it is Saturday, June 8th. The market opens at 3:00 and will go until 7:30. And, the tables until they sell out, so for instance, we're going to have some extremely delicious food. We're going to have some Puerto Rican food. We're going to have some meat pies, Australian meat pies. We're going to have some spinach breads. I mean, we're going to have a lot. So until people run out, until they sell out, the booths will stay open until 7:30. Along with the DJ, we'll stay till 6:00. But then you can come inside with your food, with your drinks, and the music will start at about 6:00, where I'll give a welcome speech, and we'll kick off at 6:00, and we'll go until about 9:00.
Perfect. And it's all taking place at Tapdong. So you have the ocean right beside you, the air places above you. So one more time. One more time. When, where, and how?
June 8th, Saturday, June 8th. Market is from 3:00 to 7:30. Music is from 6:00 to about 9:00. It is in Tapdong at the massive amphitheater right on the water. Amazing sound quality. It's all the musicians are always so excited to play in that amphitheater. The sound is incredible. Oh, and we'll have 8 bands, but we're also going to have a fire show as well when it gets dark. So come on, you can come in and out of the venue quite easily. It's free. And come enjoy some time.
I will definitely be there, and I'll be bringing my family with us. So I hope that you guys can all join us. And if you see us, feel free to say hi.
Say hi,
because we'll be there.
Yeah, and do come out and support. I mean, to put it mildly, it is a ton of work. It is like it's like a full-time job for me to get this to get not just the market, to get the whole festival going. So it'd be nice if people came out and let me know what they thought about it and, give me some feedback.
And you do a great job with it. I don't think enough people, you don't definitely toot your own horn, but more people should be celebrating all the work you do.
Oh, thanks.
So let's go on to our last story. We're running out of time here. But the biggest story for the last 2 months now that has been everywhere has been about Jeju pork. Are you familiar with Jeju fatty pork?
The drama. And it's so funny, for us foreigners, we're just like, what is happening? But Koreans are really taking this seriously. So do you mind if I explain to the audience?
I would love it if you explained to the audience.
So what happened was a blogger, an anonymous blogger, ended up taking a picture and uploading it onto the internet of I would say this restaurant is more of a tourist restaurant. There's areas in Jeju that tourists go. Black Pork Street is one of them in Tapdong, and they go specifically to try black pork. So this anonymous customer took a picture of the meat and uploaded it to the internet, and it has caused such a scandal because what the Korean people are saying is that it was way too fatty of a piece of meat. So it was mostly fat, and there was very little, what they say, quality meat attached to the fat. Now, I would just say this. If you are not familiar with K-barbecue, there are different cuts of meat. And in fact, many of the cuts are fatty. But Koreans have said now that this is way above and beyond, and they're getting ripped off.
Yeah. It's
scandal. pork
Huge
scandal.
Huge scandal.
And I don't know how to explain to like foreigners that haven't paid attention to it or people that are listening overseas. We're not talking about, this is talked about on every news, TV news. This is talked about in all the newspapers. This is a huge thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's interesting when you see the comments under the videos and stuff, people are literally saying, I won't go to Jeju Island because of this.
Yep. It has, crazy.
And the government has reacted to it, and they're starting to like, try to implement policies and, to and like new regulations to make sure this doesn't happen again, because it's coming at a time when tourism, domestic tourism in particular, is at a
taking a hit,
real low. Yeah. According to April figures,
I knew you were coming with the numbers. I knew it.
This is the latest we have of a full breakdown from the Tourist Association. There were 1 million domestic tourists so far this year, which is a drop. 1 million domestic tourists in April, which is a drop of 5% on year, and 3.8 domestic tourists all year, which is a drop of almost 10%. So it's quite significant. And
that's a huge significant hit to Jeju, especially as they keep growing and there's more and more restaurants and there's nobody to come eat at these restaurants.
And it's coming at a time when people were already complaining about how expensive Jeju is.
That is another topic that has been on fire on the blogs. Is just how, why would we bother going to Jeju when it's so expensive to get down there? It's so expensive to stay there when we could just use that money and go to a whole new country. Go to a different country and see something new. Yeah,
especially Japan, whose dollar, whose yen is. Yeah,
so
people
good.
Going there in flocks. So, and the amount of people that are not coming to the island has seen the number of flights drop by 16.5%, which is 12,000 fewer flights that are coming to Jeju.
Huge number. I mean, we're not talking about, that's what I think is so interesting about this scandal is we're not talking about, I mean, I don't think directly this is impacting so much. I think we were already on a downward downward decline. But and I do have a hard time always believing. I do think people jump on a bandwagon, and they'll be, especially Korean netizens, they'll jump on the bandwagon, and then someone says, why would we go here? And then everyone's like, yeah, of course, why would and they're jumping. I don't know that this pork scandal will impact numbers as much, but it just doesn't look good, does it? It just doesn't look good.
There's a report, and maybe I should start talking to some local restaurants, because apparently that restaurant was in Jungmoon. It's a famous Jungmoon restaurant.
Yep, and famous.
Super apparently. And I saw a report today that was saying that they have gotten tourists that are coming in and asking about the meat and wanting to check the meat because they're worried that this is going to happen.
I think didn't the owner, and correct me if I'm wrong, or some owner had said something of like, we think this is just a one-off. It was just a one-off. It wasn't on purpose. We're not trying to scam or swindle anyone. This is just, like one person had this being served to them and it just blew way out of proportion. But I remember reading that in one of the Korean newspapers.
As someone who works for newspapers, I never would have covered this.
Yeah.
Never. Like, I haven't seen any. Did anybody contact this person? I haven't seen anybody actually contacting them, getting them names, getting other information, or
the anonymous source,
the anonymous poster.
Yeah. Well, because it also leads me to believe, like it's restaurant versus restaurant. I mean, it's a cutthroat industry. There are so many pork restaurants, and with tourism being down, I mean, I don't want to speculate. I'm just saying there's definitely more to this
sabotage.
Sabotage.
Well, and after this, I've sort of been like keenly paying attention to different types of news stories that are similar like this. And there was one that came out that was like about another fatty, it wasn't pork, but another type of meat that was at another restaurant that took news. And then there was a story about 3 military men who were at a Airbnb on Jeju, and they got charged for like 3 days, 300,000 won for the electricity, something like that. And they complained anonymously online. And
those were Koreans then? Yeah. Korean military.
Yeah. So there's these stories that are like, anonymously online that are just taking off.
How do you get charged $300,000 after Airbnb? Airbnb is in advance. How do you get charged after?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't. There's nothing. You can't follow up with these stories, right?
You can't follow up with them. But then let's just say, certainly, coming back to the main point, certainly this isn't helping Jeju by any means. And I get it. I get it. Why would you want to? It is, and if the flights are so expensive, and even when I want to stay at a hotel and I'm looking around, I'm like, damn. No, I'm not,
Sure.
I'm not going to stay. Or when I could pay the same thing to be like on beachside in Thailand,
Yeah. Let us know what you think. If this would, if you're on the mainland, if this would deter you from coming here, or how you feel about this sort of coverage.
Yeah.
So that's been another episode of Me, You, and Jeju. Thank you guys so much for listening. Like I said, if you have comments, please, Me, You, and Jeju at Instagram is probably the best way to hit us up. There's also Facebook. And until next time, ciao.
See ya.
Thanks for